Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, we have another big fire and explosion here. A huge fire broke out near a major train station in London. It took about 100 firefighters to bring this under control. Now, the police have ruled out terrorism, but we don't have an official explanation yet. And it makes you wonder, really makes you wonder, why are we seeing all these things? There's people out there that think it's all related to the changes going on, grand solar minimum, the magnetosphere in decline, the magnetic pole reversal or excursion underway. Perhaps some will blame it all on Planet X and Nibiru, and then there's those that believe it's all basically kind of covert warfare of sorts going on as well. There's most definitely way too much going on to be coinkydinks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's just too much going on. It doesn't really matter what you subscribe to with what's happening. We know or we don't know, but it just looks like it's got to be one of these things here.
Yeah, all of the above tends to be really what we have going on in many cases. Some things artificially flavored and amplified. And, here we see a memorial for those lost in the collapse of the building in Surfside. And this is still underway. You still have like 151 people missing, and people are concerned for their safety, as we've seen report after report now, indicating that there may have been some issues with the building and maybe there's issues with others. Again, everybody's going to have their own opinion. There was really interesting video. There did look to be some interesting flashes that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And, then there's all sorts of rumors, as we were talking about. So again, let's continue to send our prayers and well wishes for everyone that's been involved in this. Somebody brought up a good point and shared a dream that they had that they felt was basically people that were caught completely off guard. And you can understand how people that died in that collapse, how quickly and instantaneous, it would be easy to understand how they find themselves out of the body, not realizing that they are no longer amongst the living and wondering what's happening. And Cindy and I, we've gone through countless times that we've run into people that have had that happen to them, and they're on the other side, and they don't really understand what happened, and they don't understand that they're no longer amongst the living here in 3D and in the physical body. Often it could take a long time for them to understand and then move on.
Well, yeah, and since time is a construct of man, that means imagine yourself in a confused state for eternity. You're just trying to figure out what happened, where am I, what's going on, how does this happen, how do I get out of this box? And this happens with really fast traumas like this, and it's just really heartbreaking because you can see them going through stuff trying to figure out what just happened here. And it's really unfortunate. And I think certain powers that be know more about crossing over than the average person. Well, of course they do, because they have all the records, they have all the understanding, they have all the ancient writings, and they know what trauma does to a being when they pass over that way.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And so we definitely are not wasting time or effort when we're sending prayers for the dead.
No, never.
Right. Because their consciousness still exists. So that's never a waste of time or effort. Mm-hmm. So again, let us do that. As we see, 116 degrees Fahrenheit, Canada records its highest temperature ever. We have wild stuff going on with the temperatures. As the country's west, U.S. Pacific Northwest frazzled in this unprecedented heat wave. New all-time Canadian heat record, 116 degrees. Previous record was back in 1937. They're calling this a once in a millennium heat dome, once in 1,000-year heat dome that we have going on in this all too perfect storm of all these different things that are coming together. Seattle shedding records. You got roads buckling in the heat, melting away. Truly, it is dangerous. It most definitely is. As you look at some of these all-time record highs, 112 in Vancouver, Portland Airport, 112, Salem, 113. It's smoking hot temps. Pray for the grid to stay up.
Right.
And you have a state of emergency over there in Michigan, as the governor has declared that due to these floods and power outages, flooding, sewer backups. Unprecedented. There's that word again. And had some people saying you gotta avoid certain words. You say them too much. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Well, because it's happening so much.
Yeah, most definitely. How about over in Moscow? Flooded streets in gridlock. We see transformers blowing. Repeating patterns here. Record heat wave. The extremes, again, as we've been saying, are getting more extremes on both ends, the cold and the heat. And here you have another extreme. We got to get people to think of new words instead of extreme and unprecedented and record setting.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is in Beijing. They cancel celebration shows of the 100th anniversary of the CCP. And maybe it's a divine message for the CCP. Well, this message is coming all across the globe. Apocalyptic hailstorms. Weather warfare?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, this is weird. It's not a big storm, but Tropical Storm Danny forms off South Carolina coast, landfall imminent. And it's just kind of weird to see it forming right off the coast like that and then heading inland. But, it could have something to do with the dust storms because, that dust storm will affect things. And so this should not be a huge event. And actually, I think they can probably use the water over there. I was noticing some drought developing in some areas in the Carolinas. It was an explosion. We were talking about Texas ice. Now, this is Yucaipa. 10-pound chunk of ice falls through the roof. This is over in California. There's that hole in the roof over there.
Wow.
This woman was nearly killed when a big chunk of ice, presumably from an aircraft flying overhead, crashed through the roof of her home. Or was it? But her and Doodles, that's her dog, they were safe and stayed safe, thankfully. Very, very interesting. All the strangeness that we have going on there. And there was another comment that I should go slow enough so that everybody could read along with me. And then these videos would be hours and hours and hours long.
Indeed.
And we're doing the video, putting it together and piecing it together in between working on
you guys.
Yeah, 6 to 8 people a day. So we don't have time to read every article verbatim. Kind of silly there. 80% of 2021 peach crop destroyed by frost over in Hungary. We were talking about banana crop, like 60% of the bananas destroyed in one country, and now here you go. 80% of the peach crop in Hungary has been destroyed by frost. So, the extremes, and on both sides of it, everywhere we look. So we have another large Saharan dust cloud moving over the Atlantic Ocean, and this will be making its way over to the southeast in next week. Curious everything that we're seeing going on. I do think there's weather warfare. That's just me. And I do think there's layers to that too. Definitely layers to that. I think that there's people that know that there's weather warfare going on between different countries, and then there's the bigger picture, which there is those that know that really it's going on against humanity. Birds are subtly dying. Why? And what's causing this? It's in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Sick and dying birds. Is it a new bird flu? What's really going on here? Gotta wonder. Puffy, swollen eyes, crusty discharge are some of the symptoms spotted in the birds that are falling sick in Cincinnati. Lots of neurological type issues with the eyes, with blindness, feather loss on the head, primarily in blue jays and grackles and in that family. So they don't know exactly what it is. But here we have a grandma that they say is the world's oldest, and she looks pretty vibrant.
Wow.
Doesn't she?
That's amazing.
119. I mean, she could pass for her 70s.
She sure could.
Yeah, look at her.
That's fabulous. Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So she says she turned 120 on Sunday. Her driver's license says that she was born in 1902, June 27th, 1902, and it expires in 2031. Boy, it's interesting. It looks very similar print-wise to a lot of ours.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we might not recognize it, but we really are under a one world system,
Mm-hmm.
even though we might not recognize it. So 119, 120, any way you look at it, she's looking pretty good.
She is.
She is. 6 children, 12 grandchildren.
Good job, Ma.
Her ma lived to 110. She says her long life is all about eating natural foods, butter, honey, and cheese, always on the table, and yogurt that she made herself, and she has a boiled egg at breakfast.
Nice.
The possibilities are endless. I think that we could live such longer, healthier lives than we do. Clouds near Jupiter could sustain life. So says a new study. That's a new one, right? Because they've never said anything about Jupiter sustaining life. But the largest planet in the solar system has long captivated the attention of scientists. And while Jupiter itself cannot support life as we know it, the planet's moons are known to have enormous amounts of water requirement for it. Mm-hmm. So an international group of scientists claim clouds near Jupiter may sustain life. According to their study, which was recently published in journal Nature Astronomy, the researchers measured water activity in the atmosphere of Jupiter and Venus using data from various scientific probes. The clouds near Jupiter have the right temperature and water activity combination to support Earth-like life. What? We absolutely hadn't expected that, said Dr. John Halsworth, who described the discovery as profound and exciting. At the same time, he warned against hypothesizing that the fifth planet from the sun has or has had life. Further research will be needed to understand whether microbial life could exist in the clouds near the gaseous planet, the scientists note. The researchers say that their study also disproves one conducted by U.S. astronomers last year, which claimed Venus could sustain life as it has phosphine in its clouds, which is a toxic gas where microbes can reportedly thrive. However, the latest study suggests clouds near Venus are mainly composed of sulfuric acid, which destroys cellular structures that support life. The clouds near Venus also have a very low concentration of water molecules, which makes it impossible to support even the most resilient microorganisms. But we've gotten different. Cindy's shaking her head
I know.
She's remote viewed it, and she says not the case at all.
Not at all. It's very livable. It's beautiful. The beings on it are beautiful. The place itself is more than inhabitable. My gosh, I would love to go there.
But do you think that's on a different density? Are you looking at it in like 5th density or 6th density?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at it like I can see it's almost like a very special, vibrant jungle-like environment. It's very, very beautiful. Things feel a little extra alive. So I guess you're right. When things do have that little sparkle to them, they are of a higher density.
And it has that sparkle.
Yes.
And when you think about the planet Venus itself, it's associated with goddess energy. It's associated with love and so much goodness and benevolence. So why would you have something that's a toxic, fuming, hellish landscape be associated by the ancients as something being full of love and divine motherly energy and all
Mm-hmm.
that? That
Right.
doesn't make sense either. So that's something, again, I encourage everybody to develop your discernment and go within, spend the time in spiritual practice and get used to prioritizing it, because it'll definitely pay dividends.
Yes, it'll open pathways to new worlds.
So guys, thank you so much for being part of the family. Thumbs up if you found it interesting. Please do subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications, and share, so we keep waking up people. Thanks for your prayers and well wishes for all those that are going through tough times, which is something that's happening at a global scale, quite obviously. And let us all be prepared and all keep putting the positive vibes out there. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.